Hello there, I'm Lisa Wickham, President and CEO of Imagine Media International Limited. As a producer and director over the years, I've been blessed to be able to go to many countries and continents around the world where I've met the most interesting, inspiring, and captivating people. And so I thought, especially as we are in this current situation, why not have a program where I can connect and bring my friends together and share their inspiring stories with you. So, together with Heaven Sent Productions, Innomedia, Genesis Productions, and Leroy Lexmart, we have WorldTALK. And today, being the month of May, it's Africa Month, we head across to South Africa. Some of you may know her as Miri from Queen Sono. I know her from Legends, Legacy Generations in South Africa on South Africa Broadcasting Network, and we'll be chatting with her after this. So share, come back and have a chat. So good of you to join us here on WorldTALK. And right now we go across to South Africa, where my friend Chi Mhende, actress extraordinaire, is on standby. Hi, Chi. Hi.
Hi, Lisa.
How are you doing? How are you doing in South Africa with all of this COVID-19 lockdown and all of that? How have you been keeping?
I'm good. Things have sort of released for me in my industry with level 4, with the media industry. So it's less, we're less locked down at the moment. But yeah, I've just been trying to. It has been an interesting and not. I think sometimes it was quite difficult. But for me, I've been feeling like it was a time to reset and recharge.
Yes.
Like it was time that had been given to us to mend each other, mend ourselves.
Yeah.
How are you? It's so nice to see you.
I know. I miss you. I miss ice cream. Should have put that
I'm
picture
drinking
up.
coffee that you gave me when you were last in South Africa.
So that coffee would have been from Trinidad and Tobago then. There you
Yes,
go.
yes.
There you go.
My Trinidad going.
We're connecting across the oceans, right? All right, so when I met you, so people know you and love you. Would you believe that Queen Sono, when it dropped, was #1 in Trinidad and Tobago on Netflix? I don't know what it was like, what the numbers were like in South Africa, but people on this side know you as Miri from Queen Sono. But I know you when I was in South Africa as Wandile on from Generations, and you were in fact the first female in Africa to play the part of a man. And if I'm correct, no one knew at the time on the set and in the country that you were a woman. How did you pull that off? How did you pull that off? How did you land the job, and how did you become Wandile?
Okay, so I have been acting professionally since, so I used to do commercials as a child, but I live in Zimbabwe where I grew up. But I studied in Cape Town from 2006 to 2008. I went to film school after. And straight after that, I was working predominantly in Cape Town. So I had representation in Cape Town, representation in Johannesburg, and was just auditioning and working film, television, theatre as usual. And then I got a call about how Generations in their 5th season, I joined the 5th season of the Legacy, how they were looking for, they had looked at actors as well as actresses, but they were looking for the right kind of performer who could tell the story, someone who, I suppose, appearance-wise was and could be considered an androgynous being, someone who could perform both male and female. As it was a transgender woman's story, they obviously felt that it was better for a woman to tell the story and to carry the story. I think there's often misconception with trans lives and trans stories where a lot of trans women, because having been born in male bodies, are played by male actors.
Right.
And so I felt that it was great on the producer's part, and also to have the opportunity to be able to firstly learn about trans culture and trans lives, and to meet trans people within South Africa. And I think, that's, we talk about the L, the G, the B, and I don't think we have as much of an understanding, awareness, and exposure to our trans culture as Africans, but worldwide. And so to be able to step into playing a Black trans woman was obviously an honor. It felt like a great experimental role. There was a lot that had to be done to me physically.
Like what?
I lost a little bit of weight.
So to get ready for One Daily, what was it like?
Yeah.
And if I remember clearly, even some of the crew members had no idea that you were a woman. So that means you would have been in the company of men, probably having conversations and not aware that there was a woman on set. What was that like?
No. Everyone, cast and crew knew. Everyone, everyone knew all the actors.
Right.
But no, it was just that my identity had been kept a secret to the press. I think just so we could tell the story convincingly enough and introduce the character in a convincing enough way. Yes. And I guess that's the point of the art of performance. So to get into the actual performance part of it, I took a little bit of weight. I'm a C cup breast-wise, so with the weight loss,
I have no idea what that means.
Working with a B cup, it was obviously excruciating and very difficult and quite challenging, because some of my physicalization was to lean forward a lot just so that I could make myself appear wider on screen, as well as to appear flatter chested.
Right.
And so a process like that. I also worked with one of the most incredible costume designers in the game. I'm sorry, Lisa, my phone just keeps going off. I think there's the people wanting to tune into the interview. Sorry,
wonderful.
I was just getting So I just put my phone on silent. Sorry about that. But also, so in terms of the performance element, I've worked with the costume designer Natalie London, and so she was just someone who supported me as an actor in terms of how seriously I like to immerse myself in my characters. So at the time, I had short hair, my hairline was shaved back to make my face look a little wider, to appear more masculine. I had to forego some grooming, so like my waxing, and just make my face look hairier. I mentioned something. I asked for a bigger shoe size, just so that I could feel like I was swimming in a way that was similar within my costume, where my costume had to be very big to conceal my feminine frame and silhouette. I asked for bigger shoes as well, just to feel like a bigger character and a bigger person, I suppose, in the contrast to my feminine structure. So that was some of the process professionally. I mean,
which tells me that you are prepared to stretch yourself as an actor, and as an actor, you have, I'm going through your Instagram photographs, and almost every photograph you appear as a different person, as a different personality.
Well, okay, I think when you're talking about that, like photographs and photo shoots, I do enjoy that. I definitely enjoy the gameplay and costume, and then in between a little bit of cheat. But yeah, no, I definitely am the kind of performer who. I always say that, like, if I was to write a book of memoirs, especially about my performances, I think it would be called Chi in the Costume Closet, because every single step for me has been many, many hours and many, many days with hair and makeup, trying to make. I really like to make sure that who I am completely disappears, and I can serve the story of the characters I'm also getting to learn from, because I think on a personal level, apart from what happens to me physically as the actor going into the character, it's also an intellectual process for me, where in most cases, if I'm playing a character, for example, that is something that I'm learning about, perhaps someone I've never met before like that in society, or in my own personal life, it stretches my own mind and understanding as well. And that's, I think, a really big part of making sure that I'm committed to the full process of immersing myself in that role.
But I'm so pleased that this is Africa Month and we're kicking off this series with you because you're based in South Africa, but you're originally from Zimbabwe. What was that? What was it like growing up in Zimbabwe?
Well, firstly, happy Africa Week to everyone listening. Africans abroad, Africans on the continent. So yes, grew up in Harare, Zimbabwe. It was wonderful. I've heard some people refer to like the 80s of Zimbabwe as like the dream decade. I was late 80s baby, growing up in the 90s. And if those who remember what Zimbabwe was like at that time, just, jewel of Africa. And it was a special time. I feel fortunate to have been raised by and still have both my parents and a great community. I think I've been blessed to have great teachers and mentors from my grandparents to my parents. I'm wearing my grandmother's jersey, my grandmother passed away in February. I've had lots of great teachers who have walked for me and made sure that everything would be okay.
However, that all of that said, a couple of years ago, you did come out publicly and said that you were a child who was sexually abused, and you've told that story. But what I'm interested in is really what has the healing process been like for you?
It's been quite incredible. So I always say to people, I don't shy away from the conversation because I think as a society, and this isn't just as Black women, as Black children, just as a society in general, for us as all women of all races and of all backgrounds, but also to the men who are with us and within our community. I think we are raised and conditioned to feel like sex cannot be as important a subject as all the other subjects that we take in school. Even though it is literally the reason that we become the students of life and go into life. We are conceived through this beautiful act, but also in many cases, it's not always beautiful. In many cases, people are trying to figure themselves out. Just because one is an adult, I mean, it's just really, you're a big child. We don't always have answers. And I think the fact that we shy away from sex conversations as teachers and as adults is really doing a disservice to the children coming after us, I beg your pardon. And just to feel comfortable with something that's one of the most natural things. And I think it's why we then end up having so many cases of abuse towards young people, young women and children, because they are the ones who will easily fall victim to an adult who teaches them a way to make it secret. And when that child is someone who is wanting to understand, instead we cloak it with shame. And so you then grow up with a society of ill-prepared and ill-advised lovers and parents and colleagues, and we're just really awkward around each other. So I really feel like...
Do you think that you've come to a position now where you are no longer angry? Where are you now? What space are you in right now?
Okay, so you mentioned in terms of the healing. So I always said that I'm not someone who shies away from therapy and those processes of speaking to self and speaking to family, because most of these cases it happens with someone who's very, very close to you. So for me, I don't know if there was ever any anger because I was a child. I don't think I was really aware of what was happening. And I'd like to use this platform, as I do whenever people ask, that, I've said and used the phrase sexual abuse. And to a lot of people, that always means rape immediately. Because I think people just think when you use the first three letters of sexual, S-E-X, that it can only mean penetration. And I'd like to just clarify that it was, in fact, a series of molestation, but also when people shy away from trying to understand that molestation, looking at someone incorrectly, isolating a child, like it then removes all of those things from also falling under abuse. And people make that seem like, well, it was just a touch, it was just a look, it was just a little inappropriate something. So those are all things that I have been able to learn from great advisors, great women, men who are also good teachers, good fathers, and who are men who insist on also making the female body feel comfortable. I think, living in a patriarchal society, there are a lot of phallocentric elements when it comes to sex and sex upon a female body. So those are some of the things that I've tried to educate myself on in order to feel strong and powerful, not only for myself, but for all the other people who, upon hearing the fact that I can simply talk about it, can do the same, because that is, for me, the only place that you're able to do the healing. I've been able to speak to those people, to speak to my family, and then to speak to anyone else who's wanting to talk, or who needs an ear, because, I have some understanding.
Yeah, very powerful, very profound. I know people are tuning in and they're like, we want to hear about Miri, we want to hear about Netflix, we want to hear about Queen Sono.
I can't see comments from where you are. What are people saying? Hi, everybody.
Hi. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take in a few messages, and when we come back, it's going to be all about Netflix, Miri, Queen Sono, how you got that hooked up. Stay with us. I'm with Chi Mhende, Netflix actor. You know her as Miri on Queen Sono, and she asked to hear what some of you are saying. So I'm just going to log on. Chi, I know you're there. You're going to join me now, but you wanted to hear some of the comments on Facebook, and I'm seeing things like, "I love this story." Chi Mhende, you are an awesome. Love your story. Thank you for sharing your story. Bless you. Hey Chi, you're awesome, baby. That sounds like someone who knows you personally. Yes, and great concept. This is amazing. I think people are just loving it. And, we are going to be sharing this on our YouTube channel. If you want to see it again and again, you can log on to my YouTube channel. You can subscribe as well. And remember to share it so that others can see more World Talk. And again, we can, right? And then next week, Chi, I'm going to be having Didi Kelly, who is a Hollywood makeup artist to the stars in Hollywood, and she's traveled all over the world as well and has some amazing stories to tell. And speaking of Hollywood, we're talking about Netflix. I'm wondering if Netflix is the new Hollywood. And how did you land the role of Miri?
So it came through an audition with my Joburg agent, and at the time, actually, I've shared the story speaking about how it almost did not happen. I had just come out of the Generations role, and before Generations, I'd worked on small international film and television roles, and had worked on South African film roles and a lot of theater. So I had not yet had the understanding, and nothing can ever prepare you for it. I wish you could get it at drama school, but nothing can ever prepare you for the mass attention that comes with television. And I think, we were speaking earlier about abuse and how I think there's one thing about falling in love with an actor and just being a fan and seeing them just on the streets. But then there's another element to it also when you play quite a provocative or sexual role, or when people play dangerous characters, that people get quite involved with that. It feels quite personal. And I was just like, "Ooh, this is quite a lot. I don't know if I'm ready for the next step." And I was actually letting my next step of my creativity go into a director training program.
Yes.
And I was sort of focused on that. And my agent phoned me and she said to me, "Well, there's this audition. They'd like to see you for this role." And I was like, "Oh, I don't know if I want to audition." And she was like, "Chi, it's Netflix."
I know. What are you thinking? So let me stop you because we have a clip of you in the very first episode, and I must confess, when I called Chi and I said, "Chi, I'm doing this thing and I want you to come on and we're going to talk about legacy. We're going to talk about one day." And she's like, "Oh, that is so past. We have to talk about Queen Sono." I was like, "You want Sono?" Which told you that I hadn't even had the chance to look at it because I would have been screaming once I saw you. So of course we have to speak about Sono. So let's take a look at that clip of that very first episode, that very first scene, and then we come back and chat.
I've got a meeting with him later.
Oh, thank you. Nice for you to finally join us, Queen Sono.
Sorry, ma'am. Did I miss roll call? Oh, sorry. Present.
Oh, you think this is funny? You cost us a valuable point of contact into Superior Solutions, and for all we know, your cover might be blown.
I'm so confused. Did we not just risk our lives and bring back some very valuable intel?
Lord knows how many vehicles you've lost in the past 6 months alone. With your history, I better not find any misconduct, Sono.
Miri, what?
It's always strange to see yourself be someone else.
You see, that's different for you because I'm always myself as a presenter, but you step into all these multiple roles, right? Almost schizophrenic-like, pretty much, I think. Anyway, so we're talking about...
Yeah. Well, I mean, yes, you have to have very good mental exercise and support because, no one can slip away. And I guess that's why it's important to have good education and good, what is the word that I'm looking for? This is your process, your debriefing processes, and that you can understand, separate yourself from the work and who you are and what you are.
Yeah. So what was production like on a Netflix set? Because very significantly, this was the first, if I am correct, the first production, African production supported by Netflix in such a big way, in such a great...
First African original by Netflix, shot on Netflix. Production was incredible. It was just exciting to see everyone get ready to put this beautiful thing coming out of Africa together. Before working on something that's going to be packaged for the world, you were working with international producers. Yes, Netflix as the broadcaster comes in as an international producer, but to have the showrunner be a local person, to have the lead of the star, to step onto a truck where HODs are young black women and young black men and stepping into all of that together, that was really incredible. And that felt very, very special. Yeah. And I feel so excited that we have this opportunity now. I've been saying to people that for a long time, especially for people like me, young actors who are living in Africa, who have had the dream, and we grew up watching the Denzel Washingtons. We grew up aspiring to be the Viola Davises and to be seen by the world. And we know America. We know the accent. We know the states. We are given such a vivid understanding of America and the North with Europe through the stories that they tell through their television and the work that we've seen for 20 plus years, 30, 40 years. It's time to see Africa. Happy Africa Week. Now the world can see us. Now no more shall we translate what it is. No more shall people think that the lion is crossing the street. and that you get to see the lions and the lionesses
And can I
the
just say,
actual
when you
country.
say Africa, I want to say Africa and the African diaspora, which includes all of us in the Caribbean, because our
Yeah.
stories are so similar, yet different. So we have our differences, but then when we sit and we chat, there are stories that are so similar. And I think that if we come together as a diaspora, Africa, it's magical, really, in terms of what the impact can be on the rest of the world. Yeah. So, do you think that Netflix is the new Hollywood? So, what you just said, so many actors leave their hometowns to go to Hollywood to make it. But now, with this whole transformation, do you really need to leave Africa or wherever you live?
I think now we're being given the opportunity to do it from our own backyards. I mean, when a Netflix production drops, it's in 190 countries.
Yeah.
That's more than what you were hoping to get with a local film or a television show that you're selling to other parts of the world. Now it's everyone sharing in that. And so, yeah, so as I speak about, I think, when we look at places like Hollywood, Nollywood, and Bollywood,
Yeah.
it gives us such a clear understanding of those places. I know Nigeria. Nigerians are such dope Africans to the world. Everyone sees them. Everyone can understand Nigerian culture through those stories. So I don't know what the word is. Is it a Bollywood? Is it an Afro-wood? But yeah, there's definitely more of our faces being seen now. So it's a new, I won't say it is Hollywood, it's its own space. We've had the West, we've had the North, now we focus on the center.
What's next for you?
So next is season 2, Queen Sono, has been announced. So yay! It's really exciting and we are there. And I always keep things, I suppose, very close to my chest as I go through them, and then something just drops and I share things. But for the last year, I have been studying to, I've been training as a television director. So I've been working on the two together over the last year. So Queen Sono did that, and after working on Queen Sono season 1, I started to be mentored by a gentleman I used to work with actually in television. And so like right now I'm still keeping it fairly hush until like the first day of me actually doing
I understand. I understand completely. We don't want to let it out just yet.
I don't want to let it out just yet, but I also do want to let people know that it's exciting to be stepping into it, to be, I know we talk about breaking ceilings, and sometimes it seems so silly because you're just like, oh, well, we've got these opportunities, yay, yes, we are there, but I think we shouldn't take it for granted. I'm so proud of self, I'm proud of the opportunities that I've been offered, and that, people see me, people are happy to work with me, and people are even more so happy to teach me. I think it's important to have a mentor and have someone who wants to give you time to share their knowledge.
Listen to me, Chi. Can you believe we're out of time already?
I know. This is what we do.
This is what we do. We're going to have to do it again. We're going to have to do it again.
Friends time. It's really amazing. But thank you so much. I'm very proud and happy for you with WorldTALK, and I'm happy for your viewers to experience all your world friends.
Yeah, thank you, Chi. And I am going to have you back again a little later on, and I'll have my tea. You should have told me. I would have walked with my tea. We forgot. We didn't even get to talk about you coming to Trinidad and Tobago for Carnival when it opens up next time. That's what we're going to talk about. I'm going to tell them about you. Yeah, we're going to do it. Thank you so much, Chi Mhende, stage actor, screen actor, voice artist, extraordinaire, and such a wonderful, beautiful, positive person. And that's what we do here on WorldTALK, share some inspiring, captivating stories with you, with some of my friends from around the world. And speaking about sharing, this last segment, I want to share some of the music of Trinidad and Tobago, where I am from. And I know we have some people from South Africa looking on. This is the music of Nisa. So until next time, be good to yourself and be safe.
City planes,